Building Information Modeling, or BIM, Geographic Information Systems, or GIS, Facilities Management and Operations. Three distinct elements that have workflows and processes that are unique to each. So for example, in BIM, there's information about budget, property lines, buildings, floors, spaces, dimensions, and a lot of data. There could be a single building or multiple buildings or iterations of design. There's the programming, design, and construction, integrated project delivery, open standards like IFC and COBE, and going into construction, and owners interested in taking the data from design and construction into facilities. On the facilities side, taking BIM into facilities, there's versions of design and construction, and how do you convert BIM into facilities and operations and maintenance. COBE open standards are used for that. From the facility side, owners are interested in managing the facility, the cost, the budgets, utilities and energy use, reducing energy use, looking at time and date and the life cycle of a building, and making decisions, looking at security and reports and a lot of data. From the Geographic Information System side, looking at portfolios of projects or city planning, like for the Southwest Eco District, we had a lot of buildings, 40 buildings or so in the Eco District, plus new ones and many versions of that. So a lot of data being processed, not about a single BIM, but a whole city or a section of a city, and versions of the design and iterations of it, and looking at GIS data to make decisions about many different things, and looking at data and simulations, and looking at weather and maps and proximity information. So a lot of complex data, but a lot of information is being shared as file exchanges. So you're exporting from one system, converting it to another, and importing it in. Meanwhile, the first system, the decisions have changed. So how do you keep track of data as it's dynamically changing from one to the next without having to constantly import and export versions and manage the versions to see what the implications are of those decisions? This disconnected process with the integrated GEO-BIM approach for the Southwest Eco District, we look at how do we take these three systems and overlap them. How do we take BIM and overlap it with GIS and facilities management and operations? And there's a common point in the center of all these three systems. And what we did is we said, okay, what if we can look at this and manage data in real time? As decisions are being made on BIM, can we visualize them in GIS? As Geographic Information System is updated, can we visualize it in BIM? As facilities management and operation data is updated, can we visualize it in BIM and GIS? This is not science fiction. It's already happening all over the place, with real-time data being shared on the internet with tools like Facebook and social networking, and other tools on the internet like Facebook and Vimeo and the Google tools. So it's possible. How do we take this into the realm of building information modeling and GIS and facilities management? And web services is how this is done. This is a standard on the internet of publishing information and making it accessible to others, so you don't hoard data, but you share it with others, and you control the part of the data that is yours, and you basically publish it out so others can see it. So through web services, for example, as Google Earth has updated satellite data, it was available for BIM on the BIM server side in the Onuma system. As BIM was edited, BIM data was edited, it was also published back to Google Earth. As ArcGIS server from the DC government GIS server site with streets and utilities and street and tree information was made available, we could see it in BIM. For other projects, like with the California community colleges, we're actually able to visualize facility data integrated with BIM and GIS as well. Some data is still exchanged as files, so we're using a hybrid approach. If it's accessible as real-time data, we use that. Otherwise, we use the file exchange format. But this web services approach really changes the game. It really is a new way of working, of taking complex data, keeping it simple, and being able to communicate with many users in an integrated GEO-BIM approach, making complex data accessible to everybody in a simple format. So there's nothing really at the center. It's always about subscribing to updates. So if I'm from the facilities side and I want to get the latest BIM data, I want to be able to subscribe to BIM data or to GIS data. If I'm in the BIM world and I want GIS data, I want to be able to subscribe to it or to facilities data. Same thing from the GIS side. There's nothing in the center. The center constantly changes, and we're constantly updating and subscribing and publishing information to each other to create this integrated GEO-BIM platform to be able to communicate in simple ways to everybody, regardless of if they know about BIM or GIS. And this is really the only logical way of managing complex decision making with a lot of different tools and a lot of different data that's constantly changing. Nothing is static. Building data changes, facility data changes, geography changes, street locations, etc. are constantly changing, and to be able to communicate with them in real time is possible today.